Welcome back to Silverstone and round 2 of the Design911.com Porsche Championship run by the BRSCC, and it's Dave Clark leading the way in the white Boxster as he comes now over the timing line, still being chased by Jerry Taylor, the man who prepares his car. And there, number 3 is the man who's leading the 924 element of this race, Jason Flegg, winner in the first race. And as he comes now out of Copse Corner, he's about to go a lap down because the quicker overall leading Boxsters are getting closer and closer to him all the time. This championship that initially was purely for the 924s, increasingly more and more Boxsters have arrived on the scene. The two classes sit very well together, and it proves that you can go Porsche racing on a budget. Plenty of Boxsters, plenty of 924s are still around, lots of spare parts available, and they're good, durable race cars. Dave Clark leads the way then in the white Boxster, but Jerry Taylor in the white over red car right up behind him, and there's more lappery coming up now because Martin Braybrook, renowned GT team owner for whom Dave Clark used to race many, many years ago, is lapped by the race leaders there. It was a Brookspeed Viper run by Martin Braybrook that won the British GT Championship a few seasons ago for James Gornall. In the meantime, the race leaders work their way out of Brooklands, down through Woodcote Corner, up towards the end of the lap. The race is a 20-minute race rather than a set number of laps here. And there's the leader, Dave Clark, then. He hasn't got it all his own way because Jerry Taylor is still this constant shadow behind him. But Dave Clark, very experienced driver, came into Caterham racing at the end of the 1990s and was bang on the pace in his first ever race meeting. Progressed rapidly up to GTs, then had a few years away to build up his business. But it's good to have him back in racing as Richard Starrin works his way up towards the end of the lap in 4th spot at the moment, Richard Starrin. Behind him is Mike Seller. The two of them working their way through traffic. Number 10, Mark McKenzie, in the 924 goes through, and he's being lapped. And you've got Dave Hughes also there, the HR employment consultant, is tucked up along with them. And Dave Hughes there in 53 coming into Copse, a corner at which he had a spin in the first race of the weekend here at Silverstone. The national circuit that always lends itself to good racing. It's a perfect shape almost, this circuit, and of course it's very wide as well, which means you can overtake quite easily. And that's exactly what Dave Hughes wants to do now against Mike Seller. Into the braking area for Beckett's they come. Dave Hughes 3rd in the championship last year, accelerates now through the right-hander and sprints off down towards the left at Brooklands. The Porsche 924s having their own battle, but increasingly as the race wears on, they're having to keep out of the way of the faster cars, so that on certain laps would impede them just slightly. And then diving up the inside, Hughes against Seller, and he takes the place coming into Brooklands. A big gap was afforded to Dave Hughes. He needed no second invitation, charges through on the inside, and so 53 Dave Hughes picks up the place. Behind them, having been lapped, is Mark Marshall, the man that works at Flegg Transport, and here fighting back is Mark Seller. He's alongside Dave Hughes on the inside, so the pair of them come over the line absolutely together, and Seller has got his nose in front on the inside. Richard Starring goes through ahead of them, but Seller now on the inside is going to be able to go through. I think, yes, he does, takes the place back on the inside there. Great move, and it works for him. Another place picked off then by Mike Seller, but it's only in a sense retaking the place that he had half a lap ago. So status quo is now put back to how it was. And the battle continues with Dave Hughes looking for a way back ahead of the yellow and black car there just ahead of him. So Mike Seller gained a place, but that's because he lost it and he had to work hard to retake it. Dave Hughes wants to do exactly the same now. He had the place, he's lost out. Can he fight back? It was here coming down towards Brooklands that the move started a lap ago, but I would suggest he's not quite near enough this time. Heading down towards the braking area. Dave Hughes, the 34-year-old, trying to play catch-up now because Mike Seller has just been able to distance himself a little bit, and very deep there, very wide through Brooklands goes Hughes. That will just compromise him a little bit. 87 there, David Bierman, the company director, working his way through the 924s. David yet to win in this championship, and it looks as though he's going to be denied yet again here because he's not quite on the podium as yet. He's in 4th place there, going through number 3, which is the 924 Jason Flegg leading the class. Jason, who started many years ago racing with the HSCC, and then decided that instead of racing the 924 against other varied miscellaneous sports cars, he'd just go the one-mate route, switched across to the BRSCC Championship. Dave Clark, meantime, leading the way. Is he edging clear of Jerry Taylor? Only just. If he is, it's by hundredths of a second a lap. Jerry Taylor, even though he can't get right onto the tail of Dave Clark, he's not falling too far back. Very evenly matched cars, these. They come out of the same workshop, and Dave Clark leads the way as they head up towards the end of the lap now. Stephen Warburton is not too far behind them either in 3rd place. So it's the reigning champion Clark, who had a former Caterham champion Taylor, and then Stephen Warburton, Formula First champion, went into national saloons, former Formula Palmer Audi champion. We've seen him racing in the British GT Championship in the GT3 class. The GT Cup classes was, and as the cars come out up towards the end of the lap, those three almost together, whereas next car through is David Bierman. He's a rather distant fourth, but Jason Flagg out on his own in the 924s, and it looks as though this is going to be a fairly easy class win for Jason. Scored victory in the first race, and it looks like he's going to do it again now. Now the 924 second place battle is shaping up. Look, because as they come now down towards Copse Corner, there they are, absolutely tied together. And the man that's fourth within the 924 division there, Adam Croft, the internet marketing manager, also going well. He was third in the 924 category last season, so that's another quick driver trying to work his way onto the tail of that leading group of cars. Number 8, Nick Hull, going through Brooklands. 77, the boxer of Stephen Boyles, there you can see. And then behind Boyles, you've got the race leader, Dave Clark, who's about to work his way through the traffic here. Stephen Boyles in his first season of racing. Number 77 about to go a lap down here. And then you've got Nick Hull, former Ginetta G20 racer and former 250cc kart racer in the green car, also about to be lapped by Dave Clark. Hull sits on the inside of the road. Clark has to find the way around on the longer outside line, which he does. He's got Jerry Taylor chasing on behind him as well. And those two now making their way up towards Copse. Taylor having to weave his way through the traffic there from the outside to the inside, trying to pick off the slower cars without losing too much time. This is Stephen Warburton's view now. Down through the gears into Beckett, but he's stuck in the traffic now because he's not just got the 924s, he's got the slower boxes to get past as well. 77 there, Stephen Boyles is going to be lapped. Nick Hull will be the next person to negotiate, and they're battling for 8th and 9th places anyway. Goes to show you how quick the three leading drivers are, lots of experience. And of course they're up against, in the main, amateur racers with limited experience, many rookies indeed, having only been recent converts to the joys of motor racing. Clock ticking away. We're about 2 minutes or so away from the end of the race now. They're going to squeeze in 2 more laps. Looking at this, Stephen Warburton turning his way out of Luffield, waiting for the road to straighten up ahead of him. Then he can floor the throttle. That's what Dave Clark does now, coming up towards the end of the lap. Clock ticking, and the last lap board is there for him. Yes, so he's not quite got the time for 2 more laps, only for 1. It's going to be an 18-lap race like we had in the first one. As down towards Copse goes Clark. Last lap, then he turns his way through the right-hander, and so Dave Clark's on target seemingly now to do the double, because although Jerry Taylor is there or thereabouts, according to phrase, he is not near enough now to make a move. Through the left-hander at Maggots goes the leader. So Clark, BRDC member, BRDC badge proudly worn on the car, goes out of the hairpin, and now he sprints his way down towards Brooklands. Clark leading the way. Jerry Taylor good for second, and then it looks like Stephen Warburton's going to be third. Just a quick look at the 924s. Jason Flagg's ahead of Stephen Brown, ahead of Alfred Piesinger for third place. But Dave Clark really has been the man of the weekend, hasn't he? He's taken 2 pole positions, he's taken 2 wins. Fastest lap in race 1, and he's got the fastest lap set on the first flying lap of the race here in race 2. Game, set and match then to Dave Clark. Here he comes, up now through Luffield. Slower car almost getting in the way. Mark McKenzie at the last corner. Not what the overall leader needs, but he's going to be able to get past Mark McKenzie. Hotelier bails out of the way. Checkered flag at the ready. Superb, perfect weekend at Silverstone for Dave Clark, who comes across the line now to take the checkered flag to win. Second across the line is Jerry Taylor, but it's 2 out of 2 for Dave Clark. 2 wins, 2 poles, 2 fastest laps. Absolutely perfect job. Very well achieved by Clark. Second is Jerry Taylor coming across the line, and it's going to be Steve Warburton to take third. In the 924s, though, Jason Flagg is on target for a win. He's really been on his own for the bulk of the race, and here he comes then. The older 924s still able to deliver good, competitive, low-cost racing. And Jason Flagg is going to come through a winner. Stephen Brown's looking good for second place, and Alfred Piesinger for third. Adam Croft fourth then. But there, over the line, goes Jason Flagg, and it's been another very successful weekend for him as well. So across the line, Jason Flagg victorious, and in second place, Stephen Brown just has his nose in front of Alfred Piesinger when they come over the timing line. Adam Croft being fourth home of the 924s. But as far as the Boxsters are concerned, Dave Clark, the man of the weekend. A much, much smaller winning margin, though, this time, less than a second to Jerry Taylor. Stephen Warburton third ahead of David Bierman. Fifth is Richard Starr in this time around, and Mike Seller rounds out the top 6. But it really has this weekend been all about Dave Clark.
Fantastic fun, this Porsche Championship, and that's why I'm back for a second year.
Jerry kept you honest throughout the second one, certainly, didn't he?
He really did. A bit of traffic helped me at the end, and he had a bit of brake fade, so took the pressure off a bit. But it's early days for the championship. There's more and more cars joining every weekend, and I expect it to get harder and harder as it did last year.
It's going to be quite tight, very close racing. I've just got to get myself into gear a little bit quicker, I think, and then try and sort of dive down the inside of Clark here a little bit more often and make it a bit more exciting. But yes, no, looking forward to the full season.
In the 924s, Jason Flagg does the double. Stephen Brown second this time out, ahead of Alfred Piesinger. Adam Croft fourth, ahead of Mark Marshall. And then it's Mark McKenzie to round out the top six. And Jason Flagg's winning margin 5 seconds. It was an awful lot closer behind him, but Flagg has had a good weekend as well.
They both had faster cars than me down the straight, but I was a bit braver down the end of the straight here, so I was making about a good second a lap on them, just taking them quick around the corner. So I managed to keep ahead, and then as their tyres went off, then they just slowly come away, so good.
Today was pretty awesome because I really did start right from the very back and got to second place, so that was the whole race was a blur, to be honest. The 20-minute race went in about 2 minutes as far as I was concerned. It was a really good race.
You get points in your class, and then there are overall points as well. And this is how the overall situation looks. Dave Clark with his fastest laps, 2 points ahead of Jason Flagg. Jerry Taylor's third, just 1 ahead of Alfred Piesinger. Then it's Stephen Warburton and Adam Croft rounding out the top 6. Next stop for the Porsches is going to be at Donington Park, 14th and 15th of May. Can anybody stop Dave Clark? That's the question as the championship moves to the Midlands for the next rounds of the 911design.com Porsche Championship.